Alright, AP Psych, Unit 9, it's our last video. Yay! Part 6 on adult development. And a short reflection at the end of this video on those 3 pressing questions that we introduced our unit with. Alright, so, adulthood. Let's talk about the physical end of things. In our mid-20s, we tend to peak physically concerning muscle strength, reaction time, how good our senses are, our sensory keenness, our cardiac output. Women tend to start puberty and maturation earlier than men, so they also tend to peak earlier. I don't want you to think, though, that old people, can't do anything, right? During early and middle adulthood, physical vigor has less to do with how old you are than with a person's health and exercise habits, right? And so to some extent, you can't completely battle age, but you can decrease its impact. One thing that we, obviously just can't get rid of here is the fact that with age, the tips of those chromosomes, which we had talked about before, called telomeres, tend to shorten. And so as they shorten, right, cells' abilities to, reproduce themselves tends to wane with age. Why? Well, evolutionary theorists will say that our bodies just age and wear out because we've kind of completed our gene reproducing, nurturing tasks. We've procreated, we've carried on the human race, and we're done with that. And there's not really any sort of natural selection pressure against genes that cause degeneration in later life, because we're done doing all of the things that we're supposed to do according to the evolutionary perspective. Okay. Oh, wow. Did I jump ahead of myself, right? So human spirit, right? Your attitude towards things, obviously, your expectations and attitude play a role concerning the life expectancy. But overall, our life expectancy has increased dramatically in current times, from about 49 years in 1950, now this would be worldwide average, to about 80 years and beyond in 2004 in the developed countries. Women tend to outlive men worldwide. So there you go, right? But obviously your expectations and attitude play a role in that as well. Okay, so sensory abilities we know decline after that peak in the 20s. Your eye's pupil shrinks. The lens of your eye becomes less transparent. The amount of light that reaches the retina is reduced, right? And so if your parents or grandparents are like, "How can you read? It's too dark in here." Don't fault them. It's their poor old eyes. So yeah, hearing, we know, right, the conductive deafness from Unit 4, right, the less plasticity of the eardrum, right, the need for hearing aids as a result of that not being amplified properly to the inner ear, and so our sensory abilities tend to decline. Overall health, though, strangely enough, older adults might be more susceptible to life-threatening ailments like cancer, but they often suffer from short-term ailments such as the flu less often than younger adults. You can kind of think of it as like that build-up immune system. They've been exposed to so much stuff, they tend to not get hit by the viruses and bacteria that are keeping younger people home from school. Teachers, I think, are a great example of that. Flu shot, I don't need it. I collect, 28 papers, from coughing people. That's a flu shot in and of itself. Okay. Concerning neural processing, right? Aging is going to slow that and cause a gradual loss of brain cells. And we actually know that physical exercise stimulates brain cell development and neural connections, probably as a result of the increased, oxygen and nutrient flow to the brain during, good cardio exercise. The importance of exercising well into your late adult years is clearly there. Dementia and Alzheimer's disease. Dementia is just a general term for the mental erosion that results from, progressive damage to the brain. Alzheimer's disease, like often, like one of my grandmas suffered from, it's just called, senile dementia. The other was Alzheimer's. That's an irreversible disorder, brain deterioration, like rapid brain deterioration. It's been linked to the deterioration of neurons that produce acetylcholine. And so a lot of the new drugs on the market now to kind of slow down the rapid progression of Alzheimer's disease have to do with increasing the amount of acetylcholine in the nervous system, or preventing the reuptake of acetylcholine by the nervous system. Okay, cognitively, first know that for the longest time, most cross-sectional studies of aging populations would show that in general intellectual abilities tend to decline as we age. However, that wasn't taking into consideration differences, in culture and time as a result of a society progressing. And so honestly, more recent longitudinal studies have been finished up, and over a period of years, right, following that same group of people as they age, we actually find evidence of intellectual stability through adulthood. And so that kind of generalization that, like, oh, people are dumb, is false as a result of this information. Okay, but we definitely know there's a decline in neural processing and a slowdown of things in that, your sensory input's not going to be as keen as it was before. This will show you the difference between crystallized and fluid intelligence. All right, accumulation of stored information, right, that comes with education and experience is your crystallized intelligence. That tends to actually increase with age, right? You get wiser as you age. However, the ability to reason abstractly is referred to as fluid intelligence, which tends to decrease with age. So what are some examples of fluid intelligence? Oh, I don't know, picking up a new technology, like trying to explain to my mom, like, how to use the iPad. For the love of Pete, there's nothing to explain. It's very intuitive, but because it's something new and abstract to her, she has difficulty. As we age, you might have difficulty finding your way around a new city, right, using those analytical skills. Picking up how to play a new Xbox game, right? Like, you laugh now, but just you wait, right? There'll be some technology that comes along when your grandchildren are around playing, and they'll laugh at you as you try to pick it up too. You'll remember your little old psych teacher telling you about fluid intelligence. Okay. Concerning social development, we talked about this in our discussion of adolescent development, but your social clock, that's the culturally preferred time for, leaving home, getting a job, marrying, having children. Today, the timing of those things is much less predictable. Think about that emerging adulthood period that we talked about concerning adolescent development. So it's not as rigid as it was before. According to Erickson's, right, stages of psychosocial development, the two basic tasks of adulthood are achieving intimacy, right, finding the, forming relationships and bonds, and generativity, which just means, like, does my life have a meaningful purpose? Like, am I doing something that, is meaningful? A healthy adult, according to Freud, is one who can love and work. And so there it is. There's adulthood for you. Concerning the two examples of things on the social clock, some big life events of the current adulthood, right? Marriage. Unfortunately, marriages today are twice as likely to end in divorce as they were 40 years ago, right? Couples, the speculations as to why that is. I mean, maybe it's just less of a cultural stigma now to be divorced, and there were maybe a lot of unhappy people that just kind of tolerated each other. I don't know. The important thing, though, to keep in mind is that couples who live together before marrying actually have a higher divorce rate than those who do not. Probably as a result of like the living together wasn't dependent upon any sort of, like, I don't know, spiritual or state sanctioned bond. So, what's the piece of paper? It's just a piece of paper. They were, acting married prior to it. We do know that marriage is a predictor of happiness. health, income. And look, and this, related to our discussion of sexual orientation, right? This is, being in a committed relationship, regardless of your sexual orientation, has benefits of happiness and stability. This empty nest idea, right? The kids are all grown and they're leaving the home. Like, we always have this whole discussion of oh, it's such a horrible time and everyone's so sad. No, children leaving the home actually produces an increase in marital satisfaction. So think about that at those graduation parties. Are they really for you, or are your parents celebrating you leaving the nest? Maybe it's for both of you. I don't know. Okay, so let's look at these 3 major developmental issues, and talk about, where we're at with them, right? The nature, nurture, continuity, and stages.